Alright guys, in this one we are going to continue the three-part series around which are my favourite 15 cichlids of all time that I've ever kept, and we are now on the home stretch. We are now on the top 5. If you haven't seen the first two, go back and check them out. In the first one we do 15 to 11, in the second one we do number 10 to number 6, and in this one we are going to complete the series and do my top 5. So let's get straight into it. So obviously we're going to start number 5, and number 5 is a fish that is very, very renowned on this channel. So if you followed me for a long time, you've probably guessed straight away. This fish has been with me for most of my YouTube journey, if not pretty much all of it, if I'm honest. It's an absolutely stunning species, and it was a species that I was hoping to keep for many years before that, because I'd seen it on various channels like Andy Woods and King of Queen Cichlids, and I just loved it. And then I managed to get my hand on a couple of them, and that is the Trac cichlid. Now, there is so much around this fish for me. So basically, obviously it's very rare, so they're not easy to find in the UK. Unfortunately, people can be passing flower arms on for Trac, but they're not. Real Trac are very rare in the UK. Obviously, there was some brought over in 2020, maybe 2019 actually, and I managed to get hold of a pair. I quickly found out that keeping Amphilophus together was not the best thing because the female ended up dead. But then I got myself another female over a period of time, which was again shipped over in 2021, and I paired them off and I managed to breed them, and I'm very, very proud that I bred them, because there are Tracs now in the UK that came from Trigger. Trigger is my Trac for anybody that doesn't know. And, you know, I get updates on them and it's nice to see them. And like I said to you before, the Trac is very rare in this country. And some of them, maybe most of them, have come from my Trigger. So that makes me very proud. And you know what? I'm sat here going on about him, really excited. He's been a great wet pet. You'd think he was higher up on the list, but the top 4 for me just... honestly, they picked themselves, if I'm honest. But anyway, Trigger, the Trac cichlid is number 5. Number 4 on the list is a fish that I only started keeping the fish probably around about 2014, I would say. And then I got a real obsession with it. As you know, I get obsessed with things. I got a real obsession with this species and bred it quite a lot. I had it in my fish room up until probably, when I say 2019-ish, I meant predominantly I bred quite a lot of them, all different types, and that is the angelfish. The angelfish is really high up on my list, and probably the one fish in the list that you may not have guessed was up there, but obviously while I've been on YouTube, I've not really kept many. I've tried to touch back into it, but never really made it happen. There is the Pterophyllum leopoldi, which is the dwarf angelfish, a very rare fish. I think I've only seen this a couple of times over the years in Pier Aquatics. There is the Pterophyllum altum, which you must know what the altum is surely, and there is a few different catch locations on them. And then any other angelfish that's out there is Pterophyllum scalar. So all the other ones except them two are Pterophyllum scalar, and they're the ones that I've predominantly kept. I've never kept the leopoldi, and I've never kept the altum, but hopefully one day maybe I will. But I've kept many ranges of the scalar, which obviously my most favourite probably being the Nematopus, but I did used to breed that one as well, and I've bred quite a lot. So it's a fish close to my heart. It's a fish that probably will come back into the fish room, but I always said that if I brought it back, I was going to do something serious with it, and that either being a display tank with them in, or even get back to breeding them. So yeah, number 4 on the list is the angelfish. Number 3 on the list is, now this is the only fish on this list of 15 that I would drop anything for, and this big fish lad needs you. If there's anyone out there that can get me some of this fish, I will absolutely be grateful, and that is the Nematopus, Nematopus. Honestly, oh wow, what a fish that is. Absolute little pocket rocket. It gets called the poor man's Tropheus, and I know Tropheus are stunning, but the Nematopus, the neats are absolutely fantastic. I love this fish, and I have had them, I have bred them. I just wish I could get my hands on a group of these. Like I said, the only fish on this list that I would do anything to get, and it's high up at number 3, but honestly, I considered this in my top 2, but outside of my top 2, which when I say them, you'll realise outside of that, this is my favourite. I absolutely love this fish. What an aggressive little thing this is. That, like I said, when I say pound for pound, probably the most aggressive cichlid that I've ever kept. They are unbelievable, but at the same time, they've got this look to them that when they go into breeding mode, they change into this stunning colour. Honestly, I love this fish. I love everything about it, and it's small. It's small, so you can, I mean, don't get me wrong, they need room, they need space because they're aggressive, but it's still a small cichlid, and I love it. So that's number 3, the Nematopus Nematopus. Honestly, guys, I mean what I say. If anyone could get me any of them, let me know. Brings me to my top 2. Now, this was really hard because these 2 fish have been my number 1 for different reasons at some point, so I had to pick the number 1, which we'll get to in a minute, based on the whole of the 34 years of fish keeping. So number 2 on my list, which I eventually went for, is the Ascurra Spear. Now, for the last 4 years, it's been my favourite fish. I have absolutely loved it, and in the wipeout at the beginning of the year, I was heartbroken when I lost mine because I just loved them. I don't, and you know what? I sit here and I tell you why I love all these other fish. This, I think I just fell in love with this fish when I first ever saw it, and I think it might have been on Lee Nuttall's channel when I first ever saw it. It was in a tank with Cichlids, and it looked fantastic. I fell in love with the way it looked. I just loved its colour, that those sheens of different types of colours, mixture of colours. It's absolutely stunning. And then my friend had some shipped over from Cichlid of the Americas, and when I saw them in his tank, I saw them in real play. I was like, oh my God, even more. And I said to him, if you ever sell that pair, let me know. Anyway, he ended up selling me the pair. He actually bred them as well. I've bred them a couple of times, but never grown the young on, which probably should have. Very slow growing young, but a very beautiful fish. And do you know what? Out of all these Central American cichlids especially, it's quite peaceful. And I think to me, when you see the Vieja types and all these different aggressive centrals, and you see this beautiful looking Spear that's just not as aggressive. Don't get me wrong, it can be, as all cichlids can, but on the whole against the others, it's not aggressive like them, and it's absolutely stunning. And when they grow to bigger, honestly, they get better with age and growth. So yeah, I finally went for number 2 as the Spear. Now, if you haven't already guessed what my number 1 is, then you've probably not been watching my channel for a while. Number 1 on my top 15 cichlids, favourite cichlids that I've ever kept, is obviously the Waru cichlid. It had to be. It's the first fish that I ever properly bred. So when I say properly bred, it was the first fish that I actually grew young from. Back in probably, I would say, in early 2000s, maybe 2002, 2003, something like that. I didn't really breed fish for a long time, and then they bred by accident in a tank. I had a big tank of Oscars and Waru, and then obviously when that happened, I decided to pull some, and I had a friend that owned a fish shop where I used to live back in them days, and he took the young. And it was my first proper experience in breeding fish, and they're just beautiful. The Waru cichlids are beautiful when you have them and you see them. And I used to have an amazing big 6-foot tank with a couple of Oscars in, and I think I had about 4 Warus or something like that. They were stunning. I've had pairs of them, I've had groups of them. The 7-foot tank, if you saw it on my video, I had a group of them in at one point, and yeah, they're just an amazing fish, and we've got them again. Hoping we'll go back to those feelings of breeding that fish, but yeah, it had to be the Waru. It could have been the Spear, but over a period of 34 years, the Waru is the #1 fish on the list. Anyway, guys, that brings me to the conclusion of my 3-part series. I hope you've enjoyed all 3 parts. I hope you like the choices that I've made. It's been great hearing you guys share your favourites with me and giving your opinion on mine. We have got an honourable mention left though, and I thought really hard about this honourable mention because there's a fish that's not in that list that I know some people will probably go, oh, I thought you might have picked that. And I know that Gil from Gil's Fish Room mentioned it on one of the videos. And the reason I've not put it in, and I'll say earth eaters, so Geophagus, Ecoli, Satanoperca, all the different types of kinds of earth eaters. I'm going to say earth eaters because I can't separate them in my mind. The reason they're not in the list, because I've not kept them long enough. I just haven't kept them long enough. I've only had them for what, at the most, 8 months. I had some for a short while, but I've not kept them long enough, and I don't think that I could put them in a list of all time. And I'm going to give him that last honourable mention because I think personally that this fish is going to be a fish that I am really, really looking forward to keeping. I can't tell you how much I fell in love with this fish. Honestly, I love it. I'm in awe of it, and you know, I think that if I do this in maybe another year's time, it's going to be really high up on that list, and my fish room will probably have a lot more Geophagus type earth eater fish in there. So yeah, anyway guys, we're going to leave it there. I want you to, again, let me know in the comments what you think of my choices. Let me know your choices. Go back and read the comments. Some people have put some great choices in there, but that's it. It's over. I hope you enjoyed it, and I challenge anybody else. I know along the way I've been challenging the odd person to do this, but I challenge any other fish tuber to do something like this. It doesn't have to be cichlids. It can be any type of fish. You can do your top 10s, your top 5s, and I'm only saying it because I love doing that. I love watching them, so I'm being selfish. I'd like to watch it. But anyway, guys, I want to say a massive thank you, as always, for all your support. It does mean a lot, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you all on the next one.